At 12 a.m. near the shoreline of Ras Hafun, Somalia, 82 weaponized fast boats sped toward the USNS Pecos. The Pecos was an enormous American resupply vessel, transporting more than 10 million gallons of fuel, and it looked completely undefended. The pirates thought they were executing an ambush, but the United States Navy had prepared for this. What transpired next was a showcase of maritime strength. This is the story of how the United States Navy crushed this entire offensive force in merely 5 minutes. Hit subscribe and stay with us as we expose the details. The setup. At 10:45 p.m. that night, the ocean was completely dark. The USNS Pecos was cruising at low speed, roughly 38 miles from the coastline. The vessel was operating without emissions. It wasn't broadcasting any radar transmissions, had no escort vessels nearby, and no aircraft were visible in the sky. On its upper surfaces, it held fuel and provisions for an American aircraft carrier battle group. From the perspective of the pirates observing from land, the Pecos appeared to be the ideal target. It was an immense, high-value objective that seemed entirely defenseless. Seizing it would generate tens of millions in ransom money, and the pirates had made preparations. For days, American intelligence had been monitoring suspicious activities along the Somali shoreline. Traditional fishing locations were being converted into secret bases for the pirates. Fast boats were being reinforced with automatic weapons and rocket-propelled grenade systems. Then, 82 of these vessels abruptly disappeared from surveillance networks. During this same period, encrypted radio communications were intercepted. It became obvious that a massive, well-organized strike was being planned, and the objective was the Pecos. The United States Navy understood this was an organized military operation. Rather than striking the pirates' coastal facilities, they chose to ambush the enemy. The Pecos, which genuinely was conducting a fuel delivery mission, was selected as the bait. All accompanying warships were instructed to position themselves 30 to 40 miles away from it. Its radar equipment was shut down, but the Navy maintained constant surveillance. MQ-9 Reaper unmanned aircraft were launched from Djibouti, circling at 12,000 meters altitude, monitoring the complete region using infrared sensors. A Virginia-class attack submarine, the USS Texas, maintained its position beneath the surface to the southeast, monitoring all vessel traffic from coastal waters to open ocean. The waters surrounding the Pecos were thoroughly charted for tactical purposes, designated Kill Box 7. The elimination zone was precisely defined, including exact coordinates, weapon firing angles, and interception vectors. Every sea route, every potential approach corridor was packed with offensive capabilities. Anything that entered the kill box would be identified and eliminated upon authorization. At 11 p.m., the Reaper aircraft identified 3 major clusters of boats departing the shoreline. The initial cluster from Harrod here, more than 40 fast boats spreading out in tactical formation. The next cluster from Hobyo, advancing strategically, keeping consistent intervals. The final cluster from the area north of Isle, approaching at 43 to 45 knots. All operating without transponders, maintaining radio silence, providing no advance notice. A combined total of 82 armed craft were converging on the Pecos. Each vessel held 3 to 5 armed personnel, automatic weapons, RPG launchers, communication equipment, forming a 3-directional pincer maneuver encircling the target from the west, south, and east. By 11:15 p.m., the last vessel had penetrated the invisible perimeter into the kill box. The command center verified the complete enemy force was within the elimination zone. No warning sirens activated. But high in the atmosphere, deep beneath the waves, and just beyond visual range, every weapon system was prepared. The engagement hadn't commenced, but the outcome was already determined. And what the pirates didn't know was that every move they had made for the past hour had led them into a trap they couldn't escape. The approach. At 11:25 p.m., the unmanned aircraft monitored the 82 vessels as they organized into 5 subsidiary clusters, continuing to advance from 3 primary locations. Their tactical arrangement was in order to provide mutual supporting fire. The armed personnel on the Pecos wore protective armor and maintained radio contact. At 11:30, one of the pirate ships shot at the Pecos. The rounds fell short and had no impact on the ship. Therefore, the Pecos showed no response. It didn't return fire, alter its heading, or activate its radar systems. On the other hand, the pirates celebrated over their radio networks. They felt certain the vessel was defenseless. At 11:32, they launched 2 rocket-propelled grenades as an intimidation tactic. These fell right into the water. Aboard the Pecos, the personnel were secured in protected areas, and the vessel maintained its gradual, consistent bearing, behaving as though it was unaware it was being attacked. However, in the darkness, the concealed Navy assets were monitoring every action. On the destroyer USS Porter, the missile launching system had acquired locks on 52 of the vessels. On the destroyer USS Preble, the 127mm primary cannon had pivoted, its targeting systems already calculating solutions for the pirate boats. Beneath the surface, the USS Texas had prepared its torpedo launch tubes. High overhead, the Reaper aircraft was assigning priority codes to the targets. Red for vessels carrying RPGs, orange for those with automatic weapons. The trap was closing in on the enemy. At 11:35, the pirates initiated their final approach, converging from every direction. 90 seconds afterward, the leading vessel penetrated the boundary into the core of the elimination zone. All U.S. weapons platforms transitioned to hot standby status, awaiting the final authorization. At 11:40, the 82nd and final vessel was positioned inside the primary kill zone. The Reaper's sensor system verified all targets were within engagement range. At the U.S. command facility, a notification displayed "Target locked," awaiting execution code. The ocean was quiet, but the final moment for the 82 vessels had come, and the order to fire would come from a place the pirates never expected: the strike. At 12:01 a.m., the assault commenced from underwater. The USS Texas launched 2 Mk-48 torpedo weapons. They traveled in complete silence, directed not at an individual vessel, but at the core of the pirate formation where the vessels were most densely packed. Moments afterward, the initial torpedo detonated, generating an enormous explosion that immediately obliterated 4 vessels and severely damaged some others. The next torpedo exploded in close proximity, producing a tremendous shock wave that capsized 6 additional vessels. The pirates' coordinated assault immediately disintegrated into disorder. Within 10 seconds following the initial detonation, the USS Porter commenced firing with its 127mm deck-mounted cannon. It discharged heavy, high-explosive, not at separate vessels, but into the previously designated areas where the boat concentrations were heaviest. From the opposite direction, the USS Preble fired 8 guided missiles. Each missile was configured to track the high-velocity targets that the unmanned aircraft had designated in red. In just 18 seconds, 20 vessels were obliterated, and 12 additional ones were overturned. The surviving vessels panicked and attempted to withdraw. However, before they could get away, the next phase of the assault commenced. 2 U.S. Marine Corps AH-64E Apache attack helicopters, which had been operating too low for radar detection, abruptly ascended from the horizon line. They were directed by immediate data transmission from the Reaper aircraft. The Apaches launched their Hellfire-guided missiles, focusing on the vessels with the most dangerous weapons. 9 seconds afterward, all their designated targets were eliminated. The Reaper aircraft maintained its surveillance of the engagement, identifying 3 vessels that were still attempting to advance toward the Pecos. It transmitted their coordinates directly to the supply vessel's integrated defense system. On the Pecos, a Phalanx close-in weapon system, a formidable rapid-firing rotary cannon locked onto the incoming vessels. At 300 meters away, it commenced firing and shredded all 3 boats completely. The supply ship they had thought was defenseless had just revealed it was armed the entire time. When 3 additional boats attempted to maneuver around from the west, the USS Porter's cannons discharged 3 additional precision-guided missiles, eliminating them in fewer than 7 seconds. For the following 3 minutes, the limited number of surviving boats attempted to escape. However, the ocean had transformed into a lethal labyrinth of flaming wreckage. Some boats crashed into one another, 5 boats attempted to escape together, but the USS Preble fired 2 additional missiles and annihilated them all. At 12:06 a.m., a transmission came through the radio. Clear. The battle was concluded. It persisted for 5 minutes and 11 seconds. The ocean became peaceful. All 82 vessels were obliterated, submerged, or incapacitated. Not a single pirate reached the Pecos. Not one of their weapons had struck the ship. Their complete offensive force was eliminated. The aftermath. At 12:10 a.m., smoke continued rising from the water surface. The Reaper aircraft orbited overhead, documenting the scene. The kill box had transformed into a floating cemetery of burned hulls and fragments. The concluding assessment was transmitted to command. 78 fast boats were entirely destroyed. 4 were seized, discovered adrift, and extensively damaged. It was calculated that between 300 and 350 armed personnel had been eliminated in minutes. During the engagement, not one American sustained injury. The ambush had been executed precisely as designed. Recovery teams from the destroyers advanced to salvage equipment from the debris. They recovered radios, data storage devices, and communication equipment. The intelligence they obtained revealed that this was a comprehensive operation with monetary connections in Somalia, Yemen, and Sudan. The pirate organization was provisioned from a logistics facility near Garakad, Somalia. And what they found in those communications revealed this attack was only the beginning of something far larger. An unmanned aircraft was dispatched to conduct surveillance over the facility and verified it contained storage buildings, fuel stockpiles, and communication antennas. Within 3 hours, a new mission, Sweep and Silence, received authorization. Its objective was to locate and eliminate the complete pirate infrastructure, from its leadership to its supply network. The engagement was finished, but the covert conflict against the organizations supporting it had only commenced. A gentle ocean breeze drifted across the smoke, transporting with it the odor of burning petroleum, explosive residue, and demolished metal. In the atmosphere, the MQ-9 Reaper conducted its concluding circuit before departing from the mission location. Below the surface, torpedo launch tubes were secured, and the Virginia-class submarine descended deeper toward the east. All weapons platforms returned to safe condition. No ammunition remained loaded. No warning systems activated. The engagement was concluded. A substantial naval ambush, organized in secrecy, executed in stealth, and finished in exactly 5 minutes and 11 seconds. No Americans deployed to shore. No ground forces. No preliminary aerial bombardments. Simply patience, accuracy, and coordination. The enemy assumed they were the predators. However, the instant the initial vessel penetrated the kill box perimeter, they entered a trap and transformed into the prey. Every position they traveled through, every route they utilized, every transmission they sent, all anticipated days beforehand. And when the instant came, the lethal strike was administered without any errors. This was a clear demonstration of contemporary warfare's character. No longer an engagement between personnel, but rather a coordination of intelligence gathering, technological systems, offensive capability, and complete mastery of timing. The United States Navy didn't require initiating fire first, and at the selected moment, the attack eliminated all dangers in minutes. The USNS Pecos stayed undamaged. The enemy's offensive was entirely annihilated. American warships sustained 0 casualties. And the ocean, even if briefly, provisionally returned to tranquility. However, the communication was evident. Anyone bold enough to investigate, attempt to intimidate, or fantasize about interfering with America's essential maritime passages should accept one fact. The ocean isn't a place to gamble with fortune, and if they continue, the cost will be extracted in steel, flames, and silence. If you think this battle deserves to be known, let others know in the comments. If you enjoyed this, hit like and subscribe for more in-depth battlefield analysis. See you in the next battle.